Welcome, fight fans, to episode 84 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. We've got a big week this week because our boy, Yohan, the White Lion, Lainesse, makes his UFC debut. Saturday night, he's fighting on the prelims of the Rob Font versus Marlon Vera fight night there in the Apex Center. White Lion, he's been on Hooks In. He's on this episode as well. He's a repeat guest, big friend of the pod. He had a massive knockout, big underdog as well on Dana White Contender Series. So he's looking to keep that undefeated record going here, getting to 9-0 and making that welterweight climb up the ladder there, following in the footsteps of his idol GSP. We also have Mike the Truth Jackson. He's coming off a pretty crazy DQ win last week. Not sure if you guys saw that first fight of the night. He won via eye gouge DQ and is also known for beating CM Punk, but then getting that overturned into a no contest due to marijuana. So another great guest, another UFC fighter on the podcast. So super excited to have both of them. Thank you guys for joining. Before we head into Easy Lines, we're going to be touching on the Bobby Green, Joe Rogan podcast just last week, some of the stories he was telling. And we'll look back to last week's fight night. We were talking about it earlier. 4 of the 5 headline fights were first round finishes. So touch on that and then slide in, getting ahead of that book. Z-Ball's got some great picks for you. And Zoni, why don't you kick things off?
Yeah, I'm only about halfway through the podcast, but been listening on my bike ride to work. I know Z-Balls has listened to this podcast too. It's really good. The guy, I've become a huge fan of him just for what he's gone through and also his fighting style and everything. But just 2 quick things to start off. So the first was he was talking about just getting into MMA and like finally kind of like found his first coach, and the guy was really cool, like jacked, like he's kind of fought everybody and he's pretty successful, and like he had his own gym and stuff. So he's like, yeah, I'll go train at the gym. And he starts training at the gym. And then like one day he's sparring with him, and he's like, Bobby, put your shirt back on. And he's like, what? Well, it's kind of weird. And he's like, all right. And then like a couple more signs showed up in like the coming weeks or whatever. And finally figured out, he's like, oh, like I think he must be gay. And he's like, nothing wrong with that. I have nothing wrong with that. And so he finds that out and has a talk with him. He's like, yeah, man, just like great coach, good friend, all that stuff. Just like, don't come at me, like, you know, be respectful. And he's like, yeah, no worries. So then he starts like hearing rumors around the gym, like coming up and in the following months and stuff, like he likes to pick up guys at the gym, like while he's training. So he like at the gym he owns, he's like picking up these guys, like the other fighters, and he's like, oh fuck, like that's kind of weird too, like holy shit. And then one day he's sparring and training in one of the spots and of the gym, and the guy comes running out of his office or whatever. He's like, holy fuck, man, coach is fucking a guy in the ass in there. He's like, holy fuck, this is crazy. And he's like, I don't have a problem with like a gay coach. I don't have a problem that for a guy that, you know, picks up guys from the gym or whatever. He's like, he's fucking them in the gym. He's fucking them in his office in the gym. He's like, I'm out. So he left the gym. So I found that to be pretty crazy. And the second thing was he brought up a good point, and Joe Rogan never thought of this either. He had said on the podcast, or in his early days, like there's a lot of these like suspensions for like weed, and like, you know, he had to go under different names to make money. Like he's making up like fake names and fighting because he needed to pay his rent. But the crazy part is he said in terms of a submission, so with the needing to make money, you can't have a long layoff. So you actually, like when you're getting submitted, if you tap and you don't go out, then it's only a 7-day suspension from the medicals. Whereas if you are really tough and you want to, like, you don't want to tap and but you get put to sleep, it's like a few months. So he's like, at that time, like, you know, guys were like really focused on like not getting submitted, but like if it was really close, like if they needed to make money, they would just tap. Not that they didn't want to continue fighting, but they wanted to have a fight in the next couple of weeks or whatever to make money to pay rent, to pay for food and all that stuff. So Rogan's like, yeah, I never really thought of that. Like, we watch fights all the time, and like, you don't really think like, can the guy get out of this choke? Is he going to go to sleep? He's going to go to sleep. That the medical, like, if you got problems with bills and stuff, like, you might even be tapping, not because you don't think you can get out of it eventually, but that you might need to get back in the cage soon to pay for stuff. So kind of a different perspective, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, it's a really good episode. If you haven't listened to that particular one, then I really suggest you go ahead and do it. I think later on in the episode, his adopted father comes on as well, and I didn't realize this beforehand, but I guess this guy as well, he had trained. Well, number one, he'd gone to prison a few times, but he had also trained jiu-jitsu and fighting and different types of martial arts beforehand. So, which leads to a lot of different situations for him. I won't spoil it too much because you really got to go out and kind of listen to it yourself, because it's really great. I won't do it justice because this guy is so good at storytelling. You definitely feel like you're there. And it's the plot of it all just sounds like you're in an HBO series of some sort. So, I thought it was really, really good. And they seem to have a great relationship, those two. And, Bobby Green is a great personality to have for the sport overall, I think. So, I thought it was really good. And I'm excited for you to listen to the rest of their zone because
me too.
It's a really good one.
Love that. Yeah, great guy, great character, and just one of those kind of like biography on YouTube you guys can all watch about his life and how he grew up, and just humble beginnings, and it's kind of like a motivating story. It's a little outdated, maybe like 2 years or so it doesn't go all the way to his career today, but still shows him growing up in the UFC and just being a dog and, grinding out wins and kind of against all odds, making a name for himself. So, definitely check that out. Before we head into Easy Lines, we'll touch on last week's fight night. So again, Lainesse versus Andrade was the headline fight there. Very impressive win by Jessica in the first round. A lot of people thought that Lainesse had the game to potentially pull off an upset, but she shut that down super quick. A little bit earlier, we saw actually a Hooks and alum, Claudio Piez from Peru, with a big win over Clay Guida, who at this point is a Hall of Famer, and a gatekeeper, but still someone deadly, and certainly not a pushover. But he made quick work, getting a knee bar in that first round. Macy Barber, tough, hard-fought decision win, good for her. But then two Canadians. We saw Charles Jourdain and Marc-Andre Barriault, both with chokes in the first round. Barriault, a pretty standard choke out for him, using his power. And that was nice to see. But Charles Jourdain, I thought, was even losing the first round. I thought Venata was going to make kind of easy work with him on the ground, and out of nowhere, he latched on to a one-handed guillotine, or I guess, it was a guillotine, and just tapped him. And it was really impressive. He was fighting the one arm off with his free arm, and I thought he was going to gas his own arm out and just let it go, and then he's in bottom position. But no, he tapped him out from the bottom with one arm. And if you guys haven't seen that, plus the post-fight interview where he called out Edson Barbosa and made some funny comments saying, "Don't worry, I'm not going to take you down. I'll just stand and just basically
someone will die.
Someone will die. Like, there's only one person gonna leave the ring alive." And it was just I thought, hilarious interview.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, what do you guys think? I don't know if you saw live or saw the replay, but what do you think of last week?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Really good card. So many finishes. We were talking about earlier how many first round finishes. Yeah, Claudio Puellas, man, that's 5 in a row for him, and 3 out of those 5 are knee bars. Like that's a record, and that's unbelievable. He says like, he doesn't train that a whole lot, but for some reason he's instinctually like in the moment able to pull that off, and it's like it's working. Like people are gonna have to train like Guida. You would think a guy that wrestles a lot and has a lot of forward pressure, like you wouldn't get caught in that, knowing that he had done that 2 times in the last 4 fights, and he pulls that off again. So he's going to get a ranked opponent next. Man, that guy looks good. So that was sweet. Yeah, and the Canadians putting us, on the map there. Big night for Canada, and hopefully a couple big wins again this weekend for Lainesse and Tristan Connolly. But yeah, great overall card.
Yeah, not too much to add on there for me. Just that really proves again that no matter what the card is or what type of names are on there, it's you should always be kind of watching, especially these UFC cards, and it's got a kind of a similar feeling this weekend. And just for me personally, definitely excited about those Canadians getting those wins. I've seen more and more Canadians kind of having this type of success in the UFC is definitely exciting. So yeah. Definitely see it coming, happening again this weekend, as you'll see kind of later on in our easy line picks. But one thing I wanted to add in there for the hot headline news I saw just today, I believe it was, is that Zabit is tired of fighting and maybe, or well, at least for now, says he's not retiring. So, or sorry, he is retiring and not going to be fighting again, right? He has other business opportunities, which I do believe. But that's going to be one of those fighters I think will always be saying what if type of situations with him. Could be a top 10, top 5 fighter of that division, certainly. So yeah, we don't know where his ceiling truly was at. That's kind of something sad to see in terms of the headlines, but you never know what's going to happen in the future. Perhaps that kind of calls him back eventually. So that's one thing I wanted to throw in there.
Yeah.
What about that Burns news too? Did you guys see that today?
I did. Yeah, you wanted Poirier.
No, Diaz.
Oh, I saw Poirier. You wanted.
Well, so Nate was like chirping, doesn't want to fight Connor. No one wants to fight him. And then Gilbert,
he sucks.
He says, "Hey, Nathan, let's fight. Let's do this." So, I mean, I think Gilbert crushes him, but
I don't know.
You don't know?
No,
Like,
I don't know.
see,
I think it's a good little matchup for Diaz, actually.
But don't you think Burns would be able to get him on the ground and just crush him?
It's a tough guy to do stuff on the ground against.
Yeah, he's so long. Yeah, I mean,
it's a good fight.
Both of their jiu-jitsu is really good. But yeah, Burns probably has the advantage in jiu-jitsu, I would say, but very slightly. And
wrestling too. Wrestling. Yeah. He's stronger. He's the stronger guy.
Yeah. And I like it. I like that matchup too, because they're both kind of in betweeners a little bit, right? They're both small 170s, but kind of 2 big 155ers, right? So I kind of like that too.
It's a good matchup. I like it. Sign it up.
Yeah. It would sell. Like those are both 2 names. Like even casuals both know those guys, right?
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Burns could get caught in one of those Diaz stand-up fucking back and forth too. You never know. He has a way of luring you in mentally.
True. Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be a good fight.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, yeah. So some we'll monitor and talk about in upcoming episodes as that gets more firm. But now is the time we've all been waiting for. And that's the time to lock in our parlays, get ahead of that book, meeting at the cashier. Not too late Saturday night, probably around midnight, but we do have some great picks, and Z-Balls is going to run us through our latest performance. We're going to be finishing the month of April on a very, very high note here. So make sure to lock these in, and Z-Balls, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So yeah, welcome back to another episode of Easy Lines here. Recap last event. We did have Luque money line and value pick on him, decision or submission. Obviously didn't get there on either of those picks, but those ones that, were still solid bets. I do think I would do again in that situation. Luque certainly has the talent and the skill to win that fight. Just didn't bring the urgency, in my opinion. Also, his coach telling him it was 2-2 going into the fifth made him play it a little bit more conservative in that
So
final
dumb.
5 minutes.
So
Yeah,
dumb.
unfortunate that happened, but so he wasn't able to get the judge's decision, right? But you win some, you lose some, obviously, and we're going to keep our heads up here, certainly high going into this weekend. 2022, we're currently sitting at a 23 wins, 15 losses, giving us a 60.5% winning percentage over our career, which is coming up to 2 years this summer, actually, and in June or July, I think. But right now we're at 171 wins, 110 losses career-wise, with a 60.8% winning clip going into this weekend. Saturday's main event, very high-ranked bantamweight fight between Rob Font and Marlon Vera. Font, fighting to keep his top 5 spot. Vera looking to become, to get in there. He's a fast rising contender after recent finishes over Sean O'Malley and Frankie Edgar as well. It's kind of flying under the radar here that this matchup and this fight. I think there's been a lot of drama recently with that championship of this division overall, right? A lot of things going on. TJ Dillashaw, Corey Sandhagen. This one, I think, is the winner of this fight is really going to get on the casual fans' radar, I think, this weekend. Currently on Wednesday night, Bet365, Font sitting at favorite at -138. Vera, the underdog, at +110. Tail to tape, they're both pretty even, right? Same height, both 5'8". Rob Font does have a 1-inch reach advantage. Both of them, their last loss was against Jose Aldo. Rob Font most recently at the beginning of December was a 5-round fight. Vera, June last year, was a 3-rounder, which I think may come into play here into this fight. We'll talk about a bit later. Nonetheless, they're both outstanding strikers. Font, I believe, does have the advantage in wrestling, but Cheeto the advantage in jiu-jitsu. So I kind of see that offsetting each other here a little bit. This mostly staying a stand-up fight. We're going to see a lot of boxing thrown in with some exciting scrambles, I do believe. Font comes from that New England cartel camp with Calvin Cater, a good camp we've spoken about before on this show. Excellent group of boxers. Font has one of the best jabs in this division, certainly, if not the best. There's no telegraph or wind up on it. Pops you out of nowhere. Jose Aldo was able to deal with it pretty well recently, using strong leg kicks and his much improved head movement as well. Go back and watch that fight. You'll see him slipping that jab constantly. Obviously, still landing some of the time, right? But Jose was able to stay in the pocket with Font enough while minimizing damage and landing his own strikes as well. Vera likes to stand in the pocket himself as well. He's okay to take some shots in order to land his own. He's a very exciting fighter. But I wonder if this fight goes, if this fight does go into later rounds, how is the strategy going to be? How successful is it going to be in the later rounds? As I've alluded to earlier, Vera, hasn't been in a 5-round fight, professional fight before. Font, we have seen this already. Vera is a pressure fighter, constantly in your face. We saw that against Frankie Edgar, which eventually led to the finish there. Edgar did get some takedowns, but Vera was quite active off of his back with elbows and other things, right? Actually landed some pretty nice elbows there. I'm very interested to see what Vera does with these additional 10 minutes, assuming we get there, which I do think we do in this fight, because even against Jose Aldo, Vera was looking like he was coming on a little bit stronger there by the end of the fight. Same with that Sonya Dawn fight. That fight was the fight of the night, actually. They won the bonus for that one, so it was really back and forth. Give Cheeto another 2 rounds there, who knows what happens. And Jose Aldo, as well, you'd actually rather get a 5-round fight against Jose Aldo than a 3-rounder. In a 3-rounder, Jose Aldo can really unload his gas tank more, right? I know he's looked amazing recently at 135, right? His cardio's looked great at 135, but they've also both fought him recently at this weight class as well. So Font has the chance to push him into the 4th and 5th rounds. Font had the chance to push Jose Aldo in these 4th and 5th rounds, wasn't successful, right? Vera didn't get that chance. So I think we're going to see Vera walking forward with that strong Thai boxing, using switch knees, kicks, things like that, trying to land what he can. Font in a bit more of a lower base, more boxing, some low kicks as well. Vera fights really mad, right? He was trash talking Frankie Edgar, swearing at him. Edgar is one of the nicest guys in the sport, at least so I hear, basically. And so, Vera's not afraid to get nasty in there, be the bad guy. He's going to try to get in Font's head, but I don't think Font's going to really let that happen too much. I don't see him getting caught up in that and getting caught off guard as much as Frankie did. This is a really tightly contested match, really, really tough one to fight, to fight and choose. But I'm going to have to go, if I have to choose in terms of just straight up, I'm going with Marlon Vera here to win, plus 110 as the underdog. I do like that. If you disagree with me, I completely understand. Rob Font's a great fighter. If he does win, I do see him winning by decision, though. Probably a plus 175, at plus 175 him by decision. That does look like decent value to me. I will, full disclosure, I will have some sprinkled on, even though I'm choosing Vera here on the show, I will have some sprinkled on Rob Font decision as well, just because I do think there is some value there. But I think Vera, I don't know. I see maybe a fourth round submission finish by Vera here. He's going to be able to withstand that jab himself. He's going to take those shots and eventually kind of wear down on Font and just be the exciting fighter that he always is. So that's what I'm taking right now. 4th round finish. Cheeto, I think that's an excellent value pick at plus 2,200. Him by finish at plus 300. That's a great one as well, if you're on my side. But what are you guys thinking on this one?
Yeah, I like everything you said, man. And like you mentioned with Aldo's some of his heavy leg kicks that worked well against Font. So Cheeto's got some pretty damn good leg kicks himself. I think he utilizes that as well. And I think Font has the natural, as you said, the boxing kind of repertoire, and I think in just a boxing match or just the wrestling, like you said, Font takes it. But I think with the added leg kicks here, I think that's the leg kicks. I think are going to be, it might be the difference, and I do like Cheeto as well.
Yeah, nice analysis there, Z. I was kind of feeling Font coming into this episode, but you've swayed me to go with Cheeto. I like the plus money, of course, love that value. But then I'm looking deeper into Font's record, and I look at his last 3 wins: Garbrandt, Marias, and Ricky Simon. And Garbrandt certainly on a decline. Marias fell off a cliff, and then Ricky Simon, that was in 2019. Yeah, decent win, but I don't know. I look at Cheeto's last few wins, and they're, in my opinion, a little bit stronger competition, right? The win over O'Malley, also lost via decision to Aldo, so they're kind of even on that front. But then, Davey Grant, I think, was a one-sided decision win, and Frankie Edgar was. So, which again, he's on the decline, but just that O'Malley win, I think, kind of trumps all those. And yeah, I think the leg kicks could be the X factor and path to victory. So I'm looking at the values here. Finishes plus 300. That's not bad for Cheeto. I might actually sprinkle a bit of that as well as the decision at plus 275. Either way, it's a nice return on your money. You're getting close to 3 to 4 to 1 odds on that. So Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, the one thing as well for everyone to take into account here is that it is in the apex center, right? So again, the smaller octagon, which we saw, go against Luke, and obviously is better for the grappler. So if Font was truly, was really, really, ahead of the game, playing chestnut checkers or whatever, right? I think he would use his wrestling game and he would take him to the ground and look to control. Yes, Vera is very dangerous off his back, so that is a risky game to play as well. But I think if it would be good for him to at least try and see what happens there, right? Because it always just looks better on the judges' scorecard if you're the one that's sitting on top at the very least, right? So that might be because if he goes to stand, but I don't think he's gonna do that, right? They love to box in that camp. He loves to stand and bang, I think. So he's not gonna. Will they end up there and, like I said, do some scrambles and things like that? I think that will happen, but it's most likely going to stay in that stand-up game, and that really kind of opens up with Vera's everything that he wants to do there. So he's very, very dynamic in that striking. If you look at the stats as well, they have pretty much the exact same fight time, at least in the UFC, the same amount of minutes in the octagon, but Font has landed a lot more. He's landed about eight, I think, 800 and some, 57, or don't quite quote me, but 850 total strikes, and Vera with the exact same fight time as 650. So he has less strikes, but his are much more powerful, and they tend to be a little bit more they do more damage and a little bit more devastating to his opponents, whereas Font is a little bit more, he's picking at you with that jab. As I said, it's a lightning fast jab that people cannot read, and it touches them up. So he lands more, but I think Vera is going to be able to. It's a tough fight to call, right? Again, like I said, Franz, if you end up changing your mind and going back to Font, totally understand. And if you're mainly on him by the time the fight starts, but I like the value there on Vera. I think he's an exciting fire, up and comer. But this division is extremely competitive and hard to call. So that's an excellent fight. But that's probably pretty much the only ones that I had, or that was the only one that I had hard analysis on here, boys. So yeah, Zone, jump into any other value picks or anything else you're seeing there that you're liking.
Yeah, so I got a 2-fight parlay that I'll tell you, and then one more after that. So I already put it through. I'm just gonna bring it up here so that I give the right information. So I got, sorry. Okay, so co-main event, Jake Collier and Andrei Arlovsky. Arlovsky's obviously looked good at his age and winning a lot of decision fights, point fighting. If you've seen Collier fight, we've had him on the podcast. This guy is forward pressure, and he doesn't give a fuck who he's fighting. Andrei Arlovsky's beaten Bozer and Vandera recently, and both of those guys were in awe that they were fighting Arlovsky. Oh my God, it's pretty cool. We get to fight a legend. And they ended up losing really close decisions. And that's not the mindset you have to have when you go against a guy that's in his early 40s that wants to stand and just point fight. Collier is not going to do that. I love him. I love him to finish this fight. So that's one of the 2 fights in the parlay. So that's by finish. Collier, it's plus 333. At least it was the other day. The other one, a horrible showing for his UFC debut. Nathan Levy is honestly one of the most skilled fighters in the UFC that not a lot of people know about. And he's going to show it this weekend. The guy he's fighting, honestly, he's a can. He shouldn't be in the UFC. The UFC, they either really like his management or something along those lines, because you shouldn't be in there. He's going to get finished as well. So this 2-fight parlay, I put $25 on it. It pays $351. Really like that. I'm looking forward to grabbing that $351 in my cashier, because it's a lock. And the other one tomorrow night, Thursday night, PFL. Z-Ball, I wanted to tell you about this guy. You might have heard of him before. He's used to be in the UFC, Kyle Bochniak. He's now fighting his first fight in the PFL. He's fighting against Bubba Jenkins, who we've talked to before on here. The line is insane on this. I don't understand. Jenkins is a huge favorite. Bochniak fought 3 weeks ago. I watched the fight. This guy is one of the most exciting fighters you could watch. Forward all the time, all hands, comes forward, best cardio you've ever seen in your life. I hope you're around tomorrow night, Thursday, for this fight, Z, because I'm telling you, you'll love the way this guy fights, Bochniak. And he is, I believe, a plus 250 or something like that. That might not be the exact line. I can't get it up here. Plus 250. And I absolutely love that value. He fought 3 weeks ago, looked unbelievable. And just love the way this guy fights. I think he's perfect matchup for Bubba Jenkins here coming into the PFL. Please watch that. I encourage you. That's my value pick of the week.
Kyle Bochniak.
Yeah.
230 plus 230.
Plus 230. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
the value is insane. The line is nuts. And it reminds me of the line last weekend with Patchy Mix and Horiguchi because of who he's beaten and who he's known for before. That Sergio Pettis fight was like almost the same, like -3 something. Patchy Mix just, dominated him every round. So I love Bochniak tomorrow night.
Would love just on the I think this might be a fight of the night candidate, Jared Gordon versus Grant Dawson.
Yep.
Just if you have a quick thought on that. I'm kind of torn, but yeah, what are you thinking on that?
The value also is a little bit skewed on that one. I mean,
yeah.
Dawson hasn't lost in the UFC. Like, he had that draw against Ricky Glenn, I believe, which
yeah.
was kind of a weird fight. I think there was a point deduction in there, whatever. But Gordon's really underrated and his wrestling is really good. So I don't know. I could see him winning a decision, but I think it is going to be a good fight. And the line's a bit skewed on that, in my opinion.
Fair enough. Cool, man. Yeah. So I'm liking that Nathan Levy. That seems really good. Maybe one of those ones you throw in a parlay with some other, not locks, but ones you're feeling strongly on. But that's episode 84, guys. If you do want another plus value, Raptors at home are plus 100 tomorrow night. I'm certainly throwing 3 units on them, hoping they can make it to 7 games and make that epic comeback Saturday night against the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's it for us this week. Thanks for tuning in. As always, we'll catch you next week for episode 85, and we'll see you at the cashier.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we're lucky to have on this lovely French gentleman again. He's got his first, UFC debut fight coming up in a couple of weeks here. Thank you so much again for joining, Yohan, White Lion, Lainesse. How's it going, man?
Very good, very good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Thanks. You're just talking about, getting a massage done, some tissue work. My wife is an RMT, so when we're done talking here, maybe I'm going to mention to her I need some tissue work done as well.
Yes, of course. Yes, it's the perfect time for that.
Absolutely. So the last time we talked, a lot's been going on, right? You got your contract signed, which is unbelievable, fantastic performance, and leading up to your debut coming up here, just curious what you've been up to, what has the focus been in the gym, and also just yourself, what's your mindset going into this? Was there other opponents offered to you? Why did you settle on Gabe Green?
Seriously, I'm very happy about the matchup. I'm happy at the fact that I have a lot of time between my fight and my comeback for my UFC debut. Because in the last year I fight a lot, like I fight 5 times in the year, so it means a lot. So I'm very happy about the fact that my UFC debut, it's the 30 April, give me a lot of time, a full training camp. So it's perfect. My mind is good, my body is very good too. I don't feel the pressure about the first UFC fight because I win the Dana White Contender Series on a good way. I did a great performance. So for me, the ice is break. I just go at Las Vegas. I know the organization. I feel very great in the Las Vegas. I love the Apex, love the place, working hard with my team. I love the energy. So for me, it's the second fight in the UFC. I won the first by knockout, and I'm gonna do a very nice performance on 30 April. I'm very confident about my potential, about my skills against Gabriel Green.
So fighting 5 times in a year, obviously it takes a toll on the body, the commitment, the mind, everything. So I guess just talk further. Obviously, no game plan stuff, but just like focus on the gym. So you had a busy year, and then you had more time to prepare. So what are a couple things that you kind of focused on there?
Of course, I'm working a little bit on my wrestling for this training camp, just because I love so much striking. I love boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. So I always did that. Like every day I did, of course, 1 hour or 1 hour and a half or more of striking. So sometimes I put the wrestling on the corner a little bit, doing jiu-jitsu every day. But the wrestling wasn't my best game, or so I decided to work a little bit on that. Not for take down everyone, but just to know the game a little bit more, defense and offense about the wrestling. So maybe for this training camp and maybe the time off that I have, I work a little bit on my wrestling. I was going to Niagara Top Team, Chris Pickett, and a lot of good wrestler there. So I want to be like a very good, well-rounded fighter. So that's what I did. I worked a little bit on my weakness. So the 30 April, I'll be a different animal, like every time. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, evolving, that's what it's all about. And it sounds like you've taken the proper steps for that, moving towards this fight. Just speak quickly on Niagara Top Team, because I have a couple of close friends that are involved with Niagara Top Team, and obviously they put themselves on the map the last few years here with a couple of UFC fighters, Jasmine Jasdavigius being one. Just speak with in terms of that gym and just how they've kind of evolved and how it helped you for this fight.
The wrestling here is amazing. They got a lot of good wrestler, and I think the wrestling is adapted to MMA. So it's very important, because wrestling is something, but MMA it's another thing. And in Niagara Top Team, we have like UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, PFL fighter, amateur fighter, professional. So they have a lot of fighter, a lot of student. The class are always full. They have like a big guy like me. So it was a very nice experience. Seriously, I recommend Niagara Top Team for everyone who want to evolve yourself a little bit. So they have a very nice schedule. Everything is set up on the way to maximize the performance. So, of course, I'll be back at Niagara Top Team after my fight. It's pretty sure.
Awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. And, just in terms of your opponent, Gabe Green, what do you see in his style, and how do you think, it benefits you for April 30th?
Gabriel Green is a good fighter. He's a good striker. He go forward. He put a lot of pressure. He swing like overhand and hook. He loves to switch his stand. When he throw the right, he switch southpaw. When he throw the left, he switch. So I see a lot of tape, a lot of footage of him. I think it's a perfect matchup for me, seriously, for my UFC debut. The guys, he put a lot of pressure, but he get touch. And me, when I touch, people get knocked out. So I'm pretty confident about my skills. I work so hard, and I'm never satisfied. So I'll be a very good version of myself. Like I said, I work on my wrestling. I work on my jiu-jitsu. So if you want to put the fight on a striking fight, it will be amazing. If you want to wrestle me or go on the floor, I'm gonna have some surprise for him. So I'm very happy about the fact that the card is not so much stacked right now. The card is a good card, but they have not a lot of big name on the card. So 30 April, the White Lions is gonna be able to put his name on the UFC, of course.
Awesome. Jacked up for that. Just to finish off here, will you be tuning in on Saturday?
Oh yes, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very excited because Mike Malott fighting, Yan Gary fighting. So they are two welterweight and the three final fights. So it's a very, very amazing card. I'm very excited about the Shimakev and Burns matchup. We're gonna see how Shimakev can seriously fight again a very good opponent. He had a lot of good opponent, but now we talk about Gilbert Burns, jiu-jitsu champion. He fight all of the best fighter in the category. So we're gonna see if Shimakev is like a fire or he's the real deal. So I'm very excited about the UFC this weekend.
Can I get a couple of your predictions on the fights? So just a few here. Mike Malott and Mickey Gall. Who do you like?
Of course, Mike Malott. I hope he's gonna win. I had the chance to exchange with him at the Niagara Top Team. The guy is good on his feet. He looks like he's a black belt. Have a good jiu-jitsu, good wrestling too. Mickey Gall is good, but nothing very impressed. I think Mike Malott's gonna win this fight. I think Yan Gary have an easy matchup. The guy is 5-1. I think the UFC tried to build the guy. Hope one day we're gonna cross our path together. I'm pretty sure about that. And for the rest of the card, of course, I think Shimakev is on something great. I'm very excited about this one. And it's late a little bit. I'm a little bit tired. What's the two last? Oh yeah, Yan contre Sterling.
Yep.
I think Yan is gonna win this one. Like we see the last fight go, and he dominated the fight. So I think it's gonna be the same. He's a very good fighter, very skilled fighter. He's fast. He's never get tired. So. We're gonna see, but it's gonna be a exciting weekend, of course.
And then last one, Volkanovski and Korean Zombie. Who do you think?
Zombie, it's always he can do something we don't know. So, but Volkanovski have so much a good team around him, and he's a great champion. He survived again a guillotine again, Ortega, a crazy guillotine. The guy is full of heart. So Volkanovski. Yan, Shimakev, Malott, and hope Yan Gary is gonna win because I hope we're gonna fight together, both undefeated.
Awesome, love it. Sponsors, just to finish up.
Yes, of course, I have a lot of sponsors. Manulif, Merlot, the White Lion Burger at the Méchante Virée, Eye Roller Custom, Roi Lavoie, Lainesse, Maçonnerie Chicoine. All my team, LV Jiu-Jitsu, Centre XPN, Marseillais, Club de Boxe Saint-Hyacinthe, Lévis-Labrie. I have a big team around me, got a lot of sponsors, got a lot of good people around me, and that's the way to succeed. So I'm very happy.
Awesome. Can't wait for the 30th. I know you can't wait to get in there, but just as a fan and, someone that's been lucky enough to speak with you a few times, just, classy gentleman and a ton of skill. So can't wait to see you put that skill in front of the world. So very excited for you. Yohan, Lainesse, this is Hooks and MMA. Thanks so much for your time, bro. Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Good luck. Thank you.
Next up on the Hooks in MMA podcast, we're lucky to have a gentleman who's fought in the UFC, and he has got a big fight coming up soon here, and looking forward to talking with him about his road up into this next fight. The Truth, Mike Jackson. How's it going today?
It's going well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Yeah, no problem. You appreciate it. So yeah, we just talked quickly. I wasn't sure actually where you were from. Just state where you were from and then what you did for hobbies growing up.
Yeah, born and raised in Houston, Texas. For me, and I was always an athlete in the sports. First sport I played was baseball. I have family who play professionally, so it was kind of a natural progression to go that route. And then basketball is actually my favorite sport. And then I eventually jumped over that and spent a lot of my time in basketball. I played football, did some swimming, tennis. I just love sports. And I mean, that's a lot of what my childhood was involved with was sports and, comics and games and things like that. Um, School, I was always in academics, straight A's, A's, B's, in the engineering academy, graduated from that in the top 12 of my class, honors and shit like that. Went out to A&M for a little bit, tried that out. I was like, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And then I ended up transferring and graduating from U of H. Got a sociology degree. So I've always had just a variety of interests, and fighting is just one aspect of my life.
So on the side, because you mentioned a couple of the universities that I actually tend to follow in terms of college football. Did you have a favorite college football team because you liked football, but you're also from a pretty important state for football across the
football.
America?
I had friends and families who played for Texas A&M, so it was really weird. I kind of gravitated. I was more on the pro side. I didn't really follow college sports that much. Like I said, I had friends and family who all played collegiate sports, basketball, football, things like that. And I kind of gravitated away from football. I played around middle school. And then, I think it was more like the rule set started to change. And, people started getting all these crazy penalties and flags called for it. So I kind of shifted away and really focused a lot of my attention as far as like entertainment on basketball. And so for me, I remember seeing it. I've been to 2 A&M games in my life. One I went my sophomore year, but I went with a freshman, and then so we sat like way in the freshman section. That was whack. And then the second time I went with a senior. By that time I had been in school for several. I was like a super senior.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I went to see, so I got to sit in the senior section, so it was really dope. And shade for the biggest thing. But just like going outside sports wasn't for me. I think it was also the allergies too. I mean, sitting out there and I started itching. Break out.
That might affect it for sure.
Yeah, so I really, like I said, I kind of football wasn't my thing, but I saw it there. It was a really big part of A&M.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there quick. I've been a diehard Tampa Bay Bucks fan for a long time. It's been a lot of years of pain and suffering. But Mike Evans is from Texas A&M, and he dogged up this past year, and we got a big Super Bowl win. But yeah, so just what age did you start MMA? And obviously, everyone's talking about you fighting CM Punk these last few years, but that's obviously a cool experience. But I'm sure everybody's asked you that question.
It was a cool little blip on the line. I don't really, like, for me, like those things, they don't really get to me like that.
No.
For me, I have an like just throughout life, I've always had an expectation of just doing well, just from my family's history and things like that. So even in that moment, like, it was cool. I go out there, but I already knew what was going to happen. I understand I had a job and a purpose to fulfill. But fighting.
Can I ask you a question about that though?
Sure.
I was going to get at it. I don't mean to interrupt, but so CM Punk, you have that fight and then you have a long layoff. Is that because you wanted to add to your MMA arsenal, like continue to work on each part of that game, or?
No, look, I'm doing this is for the shits and giggles. I'm in a different space than pretty much everybody else on the UFC roster. So for me, I maneuver and I have a different mentality and mindset. But I'm gonna come back to that real quick. As far as the fighting, I started around 13 years ago in the MMA in 2008. But before that, I was a fan of boxing, a fan of pro wrestling, and I was just an athlete. So I feel that fighting just came naturally to me, and I just progressively got better throughout the years. But again, like for me, fighting, I just enjoy it, right? I'm someone who took a love for this sport, and I just jumped in because I felt like it was a right opportunity for me to do so. I don't have to fight, if I never fight again, that's cool. I do this for the shits and giggles and because I enjoy it.
So can I ask a deeper question then?
Well, let me go real quick.
Sorry, yeah, no problem.
For the Punk though, I actually received another opportunity after that on that Argentina card. I want to say it was like November of that year, but I ended up getting hurt and getting ready for that fight. I talked to Sean, and he was like, "Yo, take your time and come back whenever you're ready." And then just so much happened in life for me. Again, I don't have that drive like, "Yo, I need to fight because I have to feed my family."
Yeah,
I'm literally fighting because I just enjoy it. And I have fun doing it, So as far as a layoff, it was more of a timing thing, just waiting for the right opportunity, make sure I was healthy. But then like the COVID came, all the quarantine came. So it really just put a damper on a lot of my plans. But, I'm ready to go.
So a comment and then a question. The comment is, I think it's absolutely fantastic because a lot of people do fight for a paycheck. I like your outlook where, you have your life, you don't have to fight, but you will because you like it, you enjoy it. I love that. My question is with regards to, and believe me, when I watched you fight CM Punk, I was really impressed. I saw a lot of good skills. The athlete is what I saw specifically, but my question is with your record in the UFC, why isn't anybody else with that record in the UFC? You seem to have something special about you that they see. What can you give me your intake on that?
To be honest with you, it was just the right moment, given what was going on with this professional wrestler with a huge name coming in. The record, 1-1, but that doesn't tell the whole story because for me, I'm undefeated in boxing and kickboxing. All of those wins come via knockout. So I have a talent and I have a skill that's beneficial, competing in the UFC. But again, given the time in the cage, so to speak, although I spent quite a time, like I said, I've been training in MMA, since 2008. I haven't since that time. It's not like I'm putting in that time in MMA. I spend a lot of time doing boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I mix it up, because I just love combat sports and I love fighting. So for me, do I feel like I can compete with these guys at the highest level? 100%. But it's like there's a mentality that goes into fighting. There's people who are looking to become champions, who are literally willing to die. And they say things like this, right?
Yeah.
And I understand. That's the thing is like, people, because you don't play fighting, right? And you go in there for the what it is. I understand the dangers of fighting because my life revolves around this. I'm a combat sports personality, so my life revolves around fighting. I understand the dangers that goes into this, and I fully accept that because I understand what I can do physically in a fight, and so I don't have any reservations about being here. I feel that the matchups that they're giving me are quality matchups. It's not something that is like they're trying to give me someone like 10 or 20 fights and like an overwhelming experience. The matchup that they gave me for Argentina, I think the guy had like 4 fights.
It's perfect.
Dean Berry, he has 4 fights. This new guy that's coming in, he's like 2-0. I have 2 pro MMA fights, but I have 4 boxing. I have a kickboxing. I have a Muay Thai. I have a bare knuckle fighting. Like I have experience as a professional, right? And then as an amateur, I competed in MMA. I competed in boxing. I won the Golden Gloves. I competed in kickboxing. So I have combat sports experience. It's just like I don't have to fight all the time. Like imagine if I would have just been fighting for 13 years.
Yeah.
The record. I don't have to fight. I don't need some crazy record. I'm just enjoying this. And even right now in this experience that I'm in, like I'm in the right place at the right time. And we ready to knock some motherfuckers out.
And it's probably the coolest answer you could give. So I like that. Totally respectful. So I got to ask you, Dean Berry, May 1st, is that actually happening? And if not, because
I don't know. That's a great question. We had word that, he wasn't going to make the fight. I don't know what's going on with that. For me, I don't know his visa issues. It's like my issues are going over Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, and then his issues are coming over here. I honestly I don't know because they just told me that he wasn't going to be able to make it, but then they haven't found a replacement yet. So I honestly don't know if I'm going to fight on May 1st just yet. There was a gentleman who kind of, and I don't want to get too because I looked at it and first I was going to go in at him, but then I was just like, you know what? It's unnecessary. I think this is a great teachable moment for these young fighters. We have this kid, Ryan. I can't think of his last name at the moment. He has a long name. Pretty cool little name last name, by the way.
Wait, is he in the UFC?
I mean, it's a great story. Hold on. So get this kid named Ryan, trains out of Elevation in Denver. I woke up to like in my Instagram, right? And he's basically like, oh, I heard your fight is off. You know, don't be scared. Sign the contract. I'm ready to go. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, who is? I have no idea about this kid. Come to find out, the dude was just talking a bunch of shit on the internet. He's not even signed. So we have, and that's kind of what it is right now. We have a lot of guys on the outside looking in, and they're looking to use me as a springboard into the UFC. And if I'm being honest, no one outside, like you shouldn't be looking to fight me. And here's why. These guys on the outside looking in, they first of all, they're upset that I'm even here, right? They feel as if I'm living their dream, right? And that, look, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. I ain't got nothing to do with me. That's on you because I'm doing me and you doing you, right? So you have these guys on the outside looking in. They say, oh, he's a photographer. He can't really fight, et cetera, et cetera. But then the next sentence is like, I want to fight him to get to the UFC. Wait. You can't, like, you want to be in the biggest promotion in the world, right? And where the top talent is. You shouldn't be wanting to fight the guy who's 1-1 who so many people say, oh, you lost to CM Punk, whatever, right? You shouldn't want to fight me. You should like get to fight. Like there's like, hey, you fight Mike Jackson. He's like, ah, shit. All right, I guess I'll fight him. You know, that's how these guys should look if you're on the outside looking in. Because I guarantee you, no one in the UFC right now is looking. No one's like, hey, they're not calling me out. Because they know where I'm at on what I'm doing in the promotion. So the guys who are on the outside looking in, you shouldn't really be wanting to fight me. Like you should be wanting to fight higher competition according to their logic of me being, you know what I'm saying? So these guys who are on the outside and they're trying to use my name, like that's cool, but just don't lie. Don't come out here and say, oh, you're scared to fight and sign the contract. When one, there is no contract because these guys aren't in the UFC. But secondly, I've been fighting for 13 years. I don't have, again, coming back to I don't have to fight, right? I make the conscious decision to willfully walk in there because I just enjoy it. So when people say, oh, you're scared, what? I'm not saying, I'm literally doing this for shits and giggles while people are stepping inside the cage because it's like they have no other opportunities. They have no other avenues in life.
Nothing to fall back on, right?
They have nothing to fall back on. Trust me, I have a lot to fall back on. I come from a privileged background for one. You know what I'm saying? So again, to say that I'm scared to fight people is crazy.
Yeah, that's the last thing. It seems like
crazy.
So anyways, I hope that fight does happen. I hope it's May 1st because I'm looking forward to seeing you back in there, whether you have to or not. Exciting fighter. If not, I hope it's shortly after.
Me too, man. I don't. To be honest with you, because that window is so tight right now. We're because I would have to fly out there in about like 2 to 3 weeks. I have no idea. I was preparing for a world karate champion, kickboxing champion guy, and then they may come out here and say, hey, fight this jiu-jitsu guy, in like 2 weeks.
For sure.
So if I'm going to be honest, I honestly don't feel the fight is going to happen on May 1st. I do feel that the potential fight with the Ryan kid is going to happen or may not. I don't know. But I think it's going to be at a later date.
Okay. Either way, looking forward to it. Before we jump into our last little question here, can you talk about your hat? I have to ask because I personally love it. and just you tell me why you're wearing it, obviously, and just what it means to you.
Yeah, man. So for me, I've been able to use my platform for a lot of positive things going forth. Especially since the quarantine started, we've had so many just crazy events happening, right? What people don't understand is that I know people look at it from a worldview, but me specifically in my country, racism is integral. Like, it is in every aspect of life. And I am using my platform to not only shed light on this, right? Because so many people want to they want to be contrarians and say, "Oh, it doesn't exist." We're not here for that. We're here to tell you what it is, and we're here to combat it, to put these people on the fringes of society. Will it ever go away? No, but we can do enough to push them out. So, and like everyone has equality here. Everyone is living just a quality way of life. Everyone has the same opportunities and chances to succeed. And so the hat "fuck racism" is just that, because so many people are walking around as if this doesn't exist, or they're wanting to use that as an advantage off the backs of my people and other people of color. And we can't allow that anymore. We're living in a different time, and things have to change. And so that's what I'm here to use my platform for, is to do my part in making change in our society.
Couldn't agree more. I'm on board with that 110%. And I have to throw out a quick 30-second story to you about the other day. I've still been upset about it since. You talked about playing some tennis, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of pickleball before?
I have heard of pickleball.
Okay, so yeah.
Never played, but I've heard of it.
But you should play it, because I think you'd love it, actually.
Okay.
Great sport, and fastest growing sport in North America right now, which is pretty cool. So I'm playing pickleball with a buddy, and there's a bunch of other people playing with us, older folks. It was just on the weekend, right? And I had a disagreement with the lady. It wasn't malicious or anything. It was just whatever, misunderstanding. And she came up to me after, when I was playing pickleball with my buddy. It was one-on-one. And she asked, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Absolutely." She's like, "Are you a racist?" And I was honestly so upset by it. I had to stop playing pickleball with my buddy. And I'm not saying anything about any race or anything, but I was upset because the last thing that I am is racist. And I didn't feel like she had to bring in racism into the conversation. It was kind of out of nowhere. Could have said maybe, "Why are you so rude?" or something like that. But it hurt me. I wanted to bring it up to you because I totally 100% support everything that's on your hat. And there's absolutely nothing to do with race involved in my life. I'm a basketball coach in high school. I'm a teacher. I've coached a ton of different types of students, right? Absolutely love all of them. I've dated multiple African-American women. It just really hurt me. And I had to, tell somebody. So I thought I'd bring it out to you based on what you're wearing on your hat, because I couldn't agree more with it. And I appreciate you sharing your story with me.
Yeah, and just to add that, here's the thing. People in general, right now, people are throwing this around because they want to they're looking to gentrify oppression. If you're seen as a guy who's suffering, right, it's almost like you're going to get special attention. And these people, they feel as if someone over here is getting special attention, then we're losing something. And it's not a competition. It's not you shouldn't look at it like that. So what's happening is you have a lot of people who are screaming reverse racism or all these things that these aren't real things. And they just feel they don't like that they feel that they're losing power is really what it is. And so they're throwing these terms out, and it's almost to dilute it. But we can't allow that to happen. So things like that, you can't let things like that get to you and bother you, because that's what these people are here to do. And she won, by the way, by getting you upset. She won. Can't let these people do that to you.
She did win, but if you knew me, I'm just like you, and I'm an athlete and I'm a competitor. I'm off next week for my March break. I told you I'm going to go right back to the same court, because apparently my buddy drives by every day and she's playing there every day at 10. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to play. And if she wants to talk, I'll talk. If she says, I shouldn't have acted that way or whatever. If not, but I'm going back to that same court and I'm going to play and whatever happens, happens. But I'm not going to start anything else. I'm just going to see if anything positive can come from it. But
there you go.
Just wanted to let you know, because it's a story that was bugging me this week, and appreciate you listening. Our last segment here, between rounds, I'll ask you a question. You give me your best answer, okay?
Gotcha.
Favorite kind of food to eat?
Ooh, man, mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Favorite sport other than MMA? Would it be football or basketball? Okay. Favorite getaway spot in where you grew up? If I've never been there, where would you tell me to go?
The Houston dog is every third ward, Texas, baby. Let's go.
Favorite country in the world? You can't pick the states.
Favorite country in the world? Africa. Or no, Egypt. I'm tripping like a motherfucker. Scratch all that. No, I don't know. I can't pick.
It's a tough one. We'll pass. Next question. Favorite kind of music or favorite artist?
Favorite music is gonna just be rap or hip hop. There's so many. I can go old school. We got the guys like Jay-Z, Lil Flip, Big Crit, I mean, there's a number. There's so many. Big Bun B, UGK. I can go on and on.
Yeah, love rap too. What is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, couldn't pick. So many options. Black Panther, Bad Boys, Harlem Nights, Coming to America. I can go on and on.
Coming to America, I just watched last night because I just saw Coming to America 2. I actually like the first one better. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
I watched them wrong order.
You have to know what it is. People have like they set these crazy expectations on the movie, and you have to say that what it is. It's just a sequel. It's not you can't compare the two. I enjoyed the second one very much. Had no quarrels about it, but that first one is an all-time classic.
So I watched the second, absolutely loved it, and then I went back last night, watched the first, and liked it more, which tells me like the comedy back then, it's just as funny, if not funnier than now, right?
It's just 100%.
Yeah, who's like a MMA mixed martial artist? It could be boxer, Muay Thai guy, somebody or girl that you looked up to that just kind of motivated you in the sport. Somebody that you like watching or somebody you like to follow.
In MMA, going to sport, Anderson Silva. I was there. I watched him in the Pride days, the Dream day, back in the day before he got to the UFC. And then I literally followed his career from the very first UFC, the entire way. I never missed an Anderson Silva fight. I can remember, I remember where I was when he beat Chael. When he came back and with the try. I remember exactly where I was.
Fifth round, yeah, that was awesome.
He's gonna be, for me, my favorite fighter of all time in MMA. In boxing, which that's where I really got my passion for fighting. I grew up a really big Roy Jones fan, Jones Jr.
He was my favorite.
But what I realized is I enjoyed that style very much. But the fighter that I really gravitate toward as far as boxing is James Toney. His style is just amazing. It's beautiful. He has the Philly shell, the Mayweather shoulder roll style, but it's more aggressive. It's like for Floyd, and I love Floyd too, by the way. He's one of my favorite boxers as well. He's going to be number 3 on my list. It's James Toney, Roy Jones, and then Floyd.
Pretty good list.
But the Floyd was more of the defensive style on the reaction. James was more offensive.
The aggressor.
Yeah, he was more aggressive with the Philly shell. So, man, James Toney is my guy. And then Anderson Silva in MMA.
And now you get to watch Anderson Silva with a boxing match coming up.
Man, he's gonna smoke, JC Jr. And don't get me wrong, Jr. Great boxer, great for Lainesse. He don't have a heart though. He's not like he's a good boxer. I'm not trying to take his talent and skills away from him, but he don't have a heart. And I think that's an important part. And I honestly feel that Anderson Silva beats him in the boxing match. That's me.
Maybe Anderson will take his heart. Any sponsors, shoutouts, or social media to finish up?
Nah, man, it's about me. I'm building my brand up right now, which coincidentally called Shits and Giggles. It's not out yet, but we're building it up. The Shits and Giggles brand. Of course, my teams at Main Street Boxing Muay Thai and Hands on Gracie Houston. Yeah, man, all the people that support me. Shout out to my guys in the team. That's all. That's it. Everybody that showed me love.
Yeah, nothing like a team. The truth, Mike Jackson. Just to finish up, fuck racism. Love having you on today. Thank you so much.
Man.
This is Hooks in MMA. Take care, bro.
My guy.